Now, this video is about Oz, or should I say, when we release ourselves from Oz, we release ourselves from our lower self. Now, this is what I'm going to describe is the movie Wizard of Oz. I'm going to describe it just really quickly. It's a metaphysical analysis, meaning something that is fiction that has non-fictional principles, meaning that it has non-fictional principles coded within a fictional movie. We have that going on 24/7. Non-fictional messages put into a fictional movie so that it goes to your subconscious, but you'll never pick it up consciously because you got so many distractions. But here we go. Dorothy in Kansas. Kansas represented the fantasy world that she was living in. It was docile. It was messed up, quiet, docile. When I say messed up because it was not the real world. It was a fantasy world, or should I say. The tornado, when she started to say, hey, I want to go out and discover life. I want to discover my higher self. The tornado represents the turbulence in her life. The turbulence brought her down a pathway, and down that pathway, she began to voyage to higher levels of herself. So she bumped into two components of herself, which was the good witch and then the wicked witch. The good witch was her higher self, higher subconscious, and the wicked witch was her lower self. Well, once she knew that she had to get on this pathway of higher self, she needed three components. The three components that she needed was courage, heart, and a brain so that she could see. It wasn't really a scarecrow, a tin man, and a lion. It was all components within herself, such as the wicked witch and the good witch. All of these things were components within herself as she traveled down the road and the path of the life choice that she made to reach higher self. When she got heart, she was able to process emotions, feelings in one way. When she got courage, she was able to then implement it. When she got a brain, she was able to then see what she needed to do and compute what she needed to do. Once she started on that mission, she bumped into, of course, the lower side of herself, which was the wicked witch, along with other lower choices that she made in life, which was represented by the witch's helpers. When she was able to wash away or overcome or subdue or to leapfrog these choices in her lower side of self, then she was able, because the water represented the cleansing, and when she melted the witch, it represented a cleansing and a new step and phase. Now that she have reached, or shall I say, leaped the lower side of self, which is the wicked witch, she was able to then go down a pathway of higher self. As she was going down the pathway of higher self, of course, she bumped into more things as distractions dealing with fear. Fear-based reality is what we live in. Once we get past the fear of wanting to know the knowledge of self and higher self, then we can understand what this Oz is. Because this is the land of Oz. Well, I would like to say this reality is, and that's why I call it, because it's an illusionary reality. And once she was able to get past that illusionary reality, she was able to find out that it was all being controlled through a fear-based situation. The fear-based situation that it was being controlled through was some pipsqueak, irrelevant weakling. But before that situation, everyone was in fear, scared, not knowing of the unknown because everyone was scared. That fear represents the fear that we all have in ourselves to reach our higher self, to love ourselves, and to reach a higher level of understanding. Once she was able to leapfrog the fear of higher self, once she was able to leapfrog that and get into higher levels of consciousness, okay, when she was able to do that, she was able to see Oz from what he was. and that was a fraud and a fake. And Oz represents the government and all of our fears. Our fears to accomplish our goals, our fears to question the unknown, our fears to reach higher self, our fears to love ourselves and one another. That's what that represents. Once you understand that Oz was nothing but a fear-based program, and it was nothing but that, and it wasn't really real, then you then could reach higher selves. So then what happened? Those shoes turned into what? The two parts of her subconscious, which was the higher and lower self. Once she was able to click those two together, she was able to do what? Get back home. When she was able to get back home, all she did was get back to her higher self, which she was at herself, but she wasn't at her higher self. So she was able to come back into an illusionary reality with the complete understanding of life. That's what the Wizard of Oz represented. Couldn't have represented some cartoon story, because when you look at movies typically tell you what they want you to know, typically tell you about components of subconscious, and it usually tells you about what's really going on. And if you really look at these movies and then you do further research on the side of these movies, that's what they're doing. They're not coming up with all these concepts because they're geniuses. They're coming up with them because they want to tell you something, but they can't tell you it because we live in a world that's based off illusion, fake reality, and fear. So once you conquer those fears of your goals, your accomplishments, yourself, and whatever you think you can accomplish in life, once you reach that, then you beat the odds. You beat the odds, you beat the odds, and you become the higher self, the higher you, and higher stage is a better life for yourself that you understand. All right, that's just one part of breaking down the Wizard of Oz and its components and what it is and why it spoke to the subconscious of the children and the children inside of the adult as well, because most people like it, some people don't, but most people like it because it does that. It speaks to your subconscious. It's just not a story that's addictive. It's a story that speaks to your subconscious, the conscious that does not that does not talk to your conscious self, the subconscious, which is up under, sub meaning under the conscious. That's what it appeals to, and it's a metaphysical movie. And so I just I just broke it down using the metaphysical principles that they put into the movie. It's all kind of principles. It's principles in the Holy Bible. It's principles in Kemet. It's principles in most of the stuff. But the initial principality is what you need to understand, and that's what it is. So peace out. You know what I'm saying? Remember, the best you is you. And to leapfrog any fears you have, you must understand what you need to defeat those things. She understood she needed heart. She understood that she needed a brain, and she understood that she needed courage. Now you got to understand what you need, and we all got to understand what we need. Individuals, as we pass down this pathway of our individual life choices, called that road we go down. All right, peace.